sucking the nipple directly is what Aisha is saying.
My name is Armin Navabi. This is the Secular Jihadists. Let's get started. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
What these Shia, anti-Islamic Shia are doing and these anti-Islamic apologists are doing. And you're arming them with this by telling them that actually what al-Albani is saying when he is saying sucking the nipple directly is what Aisha is saying. You are giving the Shia exactly what they want to hear because you have ta'assub to your Sheikh, you have a clinging and an allegiance to your Sheikh, which is extremely unhealthy.
According to Islamic scripture, if you as an adult man drink the milk of a woman, you become a mahram to her. A mahram is a status that somebody in your family has, like your brother or your sister, which means you can't marry them, but it means that you could now be in front of them without a hijab. You could speak to them face to face, you could be in close proximity with them, you could be friends with them. So if you, as a Muslim adult, drink the milk of a woman that previously you couldn't see her, look at her without her hijab, now, because you drank her milk, she now has the status of your mother or a family member. You can now be with her without her wearing her hijab. You cannot marry her because she's like your mother, but you can now be in close proximity with her, be friends with her, look at her without a hijab. So now Muslims disagree whether or not this drinking of milk has to be done by sucking the woman's nipple. If you want to become a mahram to an adult woman, to use this method, to drink her milk, is it okay for her to put her milk in a tiny little cup and for you to drink it? Or would you have to put your lips around her nipples and suck it? That is the conversation. That is the debate. What you're seeing right now here is an age-old debate in the Muslim community on whether to suck or not to suck. That is the conversation you're listening to. What Mohammed Hijab is trying to point out here is that there's a difference between what Islam teaches and what the ulama or what Islamic scholars are saying. This is part of a bigger battle between the da'wah boys and ulama, the scholars. The da'wah community are Muslims who go out and do da'wah. Basically means that they invite people to Islam. These are the people who are the advertisers of Islam. Think Mohammed Hijab, think Ali Da'wah, think Smile to Jannah. Sometimes a lot of people criticize them because they say things that is not accepted by Islamic scholars. However, they try to point out is that the scholars need to stay in their lane because they understand how to spread Islam. The scholars understand Islam a lot more and they know how to do scholarly work about Islam. But when it comes to spreading Islam, they need to understand that da'wah people also have their own expertise that they bring to the table, and the scholars don't necessarily understand that. That is a very controversial thing to say because the position of Islamic scholars among the Islamic community is considered to be very high. So for you to compare yourself to them and say that they have to stay in their lane will get a lot of pushback and a lot of hate. Mohammed Hijab, to make some of these points, has gone after a very popular scholar, which is Shaikh al-Albani, which is one of the most popular scholars in Sunni Islam. And when this video came out, I knew that this would be too controversial for him to keep the video on. So I downloaded the video, and I was right, he deleted the video. So I'm glad I downloaded it so I could review it here with you. Shaykh al-Albani is a more recent scholar in Islam. He died actually quite recently. He even authenticates hadith, and his authentication is cited as a source for people to consider whether a hadith is authentic or not. So that's a very serious person we're talking about here. And for Mohammed Hijab, as a da'wah person, as a person that is an advertiser of Islam, to go after one of the most popular scholars in Islam, it's a perfect example of the tension that exists between these communities, that the people who defend these scholars as if they're ma'asum, as if they're sinless, and some people like Mohammed Hijab who want to come and point out that these people are not Islam itself. These people don't even have the position of certain people such as important as Ibn Taymiyyah even, and we shouldn't be revering them this much. Luckily for us, the way he tried to show that these people don't represent Islam is to highlight this embarrassing hadith in Islam, which is about drinking another woman's milk for her to become a mahram to you. And it gives us an opportunity to show how embarrassing Islam is. Because what Mohammed Hijab is finding embarrassing about what Albani is saying is the fact that he is saying that you actually do have to suck on the nipple. He doesn't find the entirety of the whole situation embarrassing, the entirety of the drinking milk scenario to be a mahram, because that part is unquestionable. That part is the hadith. I'll show you the hadith associated with it. That part is Islam. But this sucking of the nipple part, Mohammed Hijab is trying to show how unreasonable this is, to question the scholars, but he's giving us an opportunity to show you how embarrassing the entirety of Islamic scripture is.
Completely un-Islamic and totally unjustifiable. You should, first of all, stay in your lane, with all due respect, because this is not something which you need to get involved in. Frontline dawah work should be left to those who are on the front lines.
Okay, now let me show you the Islamic scripture that all this comes from. This is the first hadith. You can see Muhammad saying that, suckle him and you would become unlawful for him. Unlawful here means mahram, basically means that it's unlawful for you to marry him, but you would have the same status as a brother or a sister or a father or a mother. So basically you are going to be able to spend time with them, look at them without hijab, be in the same room with them, and so on. Here is the second hadith. Muhammad here again saying to a woman, suckle him, and the woman here actually responds saying, how can I suckle him as he is a grown-up man? Good question. And then Allah's messenger, meaning Muhammad, smiled and said, I already know that he is a young man. Okay. Here's the third hadith. Muhammad here is saying to a woman, suckle him so that he may become unlawful in regard to marriage for you. Again, this is referring to the whole idea of mahram, which will give you the same status as close family members. Here's the fourth hadith. In this one, Muhammad is telling a woman to suckle him so that he may become your foster child, and thus he may be able to come to you. Okay, here it becomes hilarious. Aisha in this hadith refers to what Muhammad used to say regarding suckling when he was alive, and she is using that as precedent to use her family members, including her own sister, to go suckle men that she wants to spend time with. This is at the time that she was very politically active, and she needed to come and go with men, and these people were not mahram to her, so she wouldn't be able to talk to them like normal human beings do to each other. And she didn't have milk because she was not pregnant, so she went hunting down her sister and other family members to get their milk. If they become family members to the men that she wanted to speak to, then she would be family members to them by extension. You can see here in the hadith is saying, Aisha ordered her sister and the daughters of her brother to give milk to whichever men she wanted to be able to come in to see her. Here it becomes even more hilarious. You can see in this BBC article back in 2007, there was an Islamic scholar who issued a fatwa saying that if women and men want to be working with each other, they can just simply breastfeed each other so that they could be in proximity with each other. You can see this Islamic scholar in Egypt offered a way around segregation of the sexes at work by simply suggesting that the women at work should just breastfeed the men. There we go, so that they don't have to work separately, because they would be family members. He said in his fatwa that if a woman fed a male colleague directly from her breast at least 5 times, they would establish a family bond and thus be allowed to be alone together at work. He said, breastfeeding an adult puts an end to the problem of the private meeting. A woman at work can take off the veil or reveal her hair in front of someone whom she breastfed.
Let me ask you a question. In the 40 minutes that you had talking about al-Albani's fatwa, why did you conveniently circumnavigate? Why did you conveniently omit? Why did you conveniently completely avert the point where al-Albani himself, he mentions specifically about the nipple of the woman, sucking directly from the nipple of the woman, and saying, لأنه is not موطن or موضع شهوة. It's not an object of desire because it's سوداء لأنه سوداء لأنها سوداء قاتمة. This, tell me where this has ever been said before, even including Ibn Hazm, who we've already agreed has a similar opinion to al-Albani, by anybody in Islamic history. Tell me one person, this is a challenge. Tell me, I would like to know for my own growth, and please, honestly, tell me one person in Islamic history who has said exactly what al-Albani is saying, which is to say that the reason why you can suck from the teat directly, from the nipple directly, is because it is gloomy, yes, and black.
Let's look at what Albani had said. Albani said, it is possible for this husband to use the means of his wife breastfeeding his brother. This brother would become the son of his wife through breastfeeding. I personally say I do not mind that breastfeeding occurs directly from the nipple. This is because it does not cause that which might bring temptation to mind. Because with regards to temptation, it is when the flesh of the full breast is exposed. The nipple, as husbands know, is not a subject of desire because it is dark black.
Now here's what I would like to ask, another probing question, and please remember those questions and answer those questions. Do not run away from those questions, because you wanted to defend the Sheikh as if the Sheikh has no mistakes, as if the Sheikh is ma'soom. Since you wanted to go down that route, I'm very happy to ask you these questions. The second question I would like to ask, is this illah or hikmah? In other words, the fact that the breast or the nipple in particular is black or gloomy, dark yani, the fact that this is so, and that the shahwa is not there, كما يعلم الأزواج, as he said, as husbands know, is it hikmah or illah? Is it wisdom or is it causative reasoning? Now, if it is causative reasoning, if it's illah, so can it be maqis alayh? In other words, can you now expand that to the whole breast? Can the whole breast, a black breast, a dark or gloomy or black breast, is this now deplete of all shahwa? Is it not molten shahwa anymore because of the fact that it's that black?
By the way, this seems entirely racist. This scholar thinks that you cannot be attracted to black skin. What if she was black? Does Albani think that it's impossible for you to be attracted to her because her entire skin is black? And also, what about pink nipples? Can we not suck on pink nipples?
Allah has inherently created something ugly or lack of shahwa, unattractive, doesn't have shahwa, I won't use the word ugly, doesn't have shahwa, or doesn't cause a man to have desires because of its blackness or darkness. Are you willing to defend this statement of Sheikh Albani and say this is not, first of all, it's a justifiable statement and it was not a mistake? So my first question was for you to get any scholar in Islamic history for 1,400 years who has used the same ta'leel and the same justifications using the darkness or the blackness of the nipple. That's number one. It's your job. ولكن البينة على المدعي. رقم واحد. Number one. Number two is, ورقم اثنين, that you now tell me, do you condone or condemn? Do you allow, do you justify, or do you see that there's no justification? Do you consider it a mistake or not? Make it very clear for you people. Do you consider it a mistake or not that the reason why the nipple, according to Albani, is not molten or molda' shahwa, desire, is because it is black or dark? Do you agree or disagree? Please, I'm not saying this, brothers, in order to attack you or do hujum on you. But since you have opened the can of worms, it's very befitting that we end this properly. Now, if you say I agree, then okay, we can have a conversation based on that. If you say we disagree, we can have a conversation. But you must answer this question.
What a lot of people don't consider is that we need to move past religion, not just because it motivates war, it motivates misogyny, it motivates homophobia, it motivates transphobia, and a whole bunch of other costly things for society. But a lot of the cost associated with religion is that it's a distraction. It's a distraction, and that's why we need to move past it, because of the time, the resources, and the energy that goes into trying to figure out whether you need to drink milk from a cup or from a woman's tits to be able to have a normal conversation with her in a room without her having a hijab on her head. Time, resources, and energy that otherwise would have been spent on more useful things for society. My name is Armin Navabi. This has been the Secular Jihadists. Make sure you like and subscribe. See you in the next video.